Through the Gates is produced under the support of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's our mission. We're engaged in fighting at every level so that wildlife management remains science-based and conservation continues to work for our wildlife. To learn more and join the movement, visit SaveTheHuntColorado.com. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the greatest conservation model in the world. It's a success story that should be shared and celebrated because everybody is a part of it. So we're sitting in the truck in a rainstorm in Elizabeth, Colorado, and I'm here with a good friend of ours, Adam Welborn. Adam has been helping out for the last couple of years on the Save the Hunt campaign and with CRWM, and just a trooper, just somebody that's been willing to turn around and do anything that's necessary to be able to turn around and keep the movement and the momentum going. And so his wife is involved. She's actually in our upcoming calendar, the Women of Conservation calendar, and she's just a trooper herself. I mean, she's a rock star. So you were recently on a hunt in the Northwest Territories.
I was, yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that. And we'll have the interview that you did with the outfitter or your guide up there.
Yeah.
And but tell us a little bit about that and why you did it and how you got involved and just a little bit of an overview on what your involvement is with CRWM and maybe just a couple of minutes on background with you as well.
Yeah. I ended up doing that hunt. We all know what sheep hunts cost, and I don't make sheep money, but I was lucky enough that when my grandparents passed, the money that they did set aside was going to be for my dream hunt. And so took some time, did a lot of research on outfitters, found Lancasters, and I knew I wanted to do a dall and caribou hunt. And so booked that back in 2021 and finally got to do it here in August. So it was an incredible trip. I mean, the Northwest Territories is just true untouched wilderness, unlike anything I've ever experienced before. So they're a great outfitter. I mean, super dialed in, was able to harvest 2 great animals. And I just start to finish, it was, trip of a lifetime for me, for sure.
So when you thought about doing that, were you planning on doing it in 22 or 23, or was it that far booked out?
No, it was that far booked out.
And Canada was shut down during COVID, so they wouldn't let anybody in.
No. Yeah. Yeah. And, Northwest Territories, there's a lot of kind of talks about the future of caribou hunting in that area. And so, I just feel lucky to be able to, do it. So
how come you picked the Northwest Territories over anywhere else?
Just doing my research, talking to, other hunters that have been up there and hunted the Northwest Territories. And, you have Alaska guys that talk about, the quality of dall sheep in Alaska versus the Northwest Territories. And I mean, everything that I saw come into that camp was, good, mature animals. And, so I don't know what Alaska is like, but I was very happy with Northwest Territories. So
had you hunted bighorn sheep or desert bighorn or anything?
No, that was my first sheep. So, I definitely have the sheep bug now, but
so you're hooked?
I'm hooked now. Yeah. So keep putting it in for Colorado. Hopefully I draw here or win a raffle or, in order to get to do it again.
Do you have any aspirations to do any sheep in other parts of the world?
Really, I always said dall sheep and Rocky Mountain bighorn were the 2 that I wanted in my lifetime. If I got the 2 of those, I'd be happy. But I've always loved stone sheep. Again, it's just stone prices they're obviously the most expensive sheep. So
it's gotten a lot more expensive than what it was 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You talk to the guys in the 80s and stuff, they could get their slam for $25K and that won't even get you close to 1 sheep now. So it's pretty crazy where it's gone. They're saying now deserts are starting to back off a little bit. They're not as expensive. They're the only sheep species that doesn't seem to be climbing at the same rate. They're starting to plateau a little bit, but the rest of them are still going up.
And tell us a little bit about your involvement on the conservation side before we get into the interview that you actually did with the outfitter. But you got involved with CRWM through different channels when we
Yeah.
were doing the campaign on 127.
Mhm.
And we met a lot of our friends through that. And you guys have met a lot of friends,
Yeah, yeah.
cross-pollination of friends. And tell us a little bit about why you did what you did and how that's led you to where you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, we got involved with you in 127. I know I came up to you at Sheep Show, is the January before, the fight.
2024.
Yeah. Just to meet you and, had seen what you were doing and basically told you whatever you need, just let me know. And, the reason that I wanted to do that, I'm born and raised in Colorado. On my dad's side, I'm fifth generation Coloradoan, and I've spent a lot of time in the mountains, hunting and, getting to enjoy this incredible state. And I just knew that, if I didn't get involved and do something, a lot of what I enjoy to do, would be gone. And I just knew, even back then, that Dan, you were the guy that was going to help get us to where we needed to go in order to fight this. And I just, wanted to be whatever help I could be.
You're one of the dummies that decided to get in line.
Yeah,
the rest of us,
I guess so. But yeah, it's too important just to, it was too important back then, but even now it's too important just to say, oh, well, we won one. Let's just kind of sit back and, celebrate our victories. It's never going to stop. And I'm more than happy to, continue for as long as we have to keep fighting, which is probably going to be for the rest of my life, I would imagine.
Yeah, the way things are kind of going, just the culmination of efforts and to see who's trying to take what away or what their perspectives are to restrict or prohibit a lot of different things is pretty remarkable, because it doesn't matter what it is. They want to try to take the majority of it away or restrict it so significantly that nobody does it.
Yep.
When Taylor got involved, she jumped in kind of both feet with you.
Mm-hmm.
And with the relationship that we struck, the friendship that we struck was kind of unique in the sense to where this is not necessarily her wheelhouse. She does it maybe because of you, but now she's getting in with a bunch of the other young ladies and supporters of not just what CRWM is doing, but what conservation is,
mm-hmm.
and how that helps tell the story for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, Taylor she's a new hunter. She's only been hunting for 3 years now. She got into it because of me. Her parents joke that they never thought their little ballerina, who did ballet all the way up through high school would, one day be a hunter. But yeah, she started there, and then seeing what I was doing with it, she knew that her voice, being in the medical field, would be incredibly important about trusting the science and being able to, talk on that front and, be able to talk with her friends and other women that weren't hunters or, didn't know why this would impact them or why they should care about it. And through that, I mean, some of her best friends now are all women that she met through, fighting through 127.
Yeah, she became pretty good friends with a bunch of those gals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Her group chats now are pretty much all the women that, are either in the calendar or did a lot with 127. So.
What did you think as we were getting through the efforts of what we were trying to accomplish on 127 about how it would go, win, lose, or draw after that on November of last year? I mean, did you think that this was going to continue, or did you think that we'd just die off and ride off in the sunset, or what?
No, I mean, I'd spent enough time with you beforehand to know that, this isn't a one-off fluke deal, that it was going to be something that was going to be a continual fight. The antis aren't going to give up that easy. So
when you went to Canada, into the Northwest Territories, did you have reservations about the way things were going compared to what you've experienced here in Colorado? Or they've had their own trials and tribulations up there for a variety of different circumstances. Give us a little bit of a synopsis of in the interview that you have, it'll kind of lay it out.
Yeah.
But the synopsis of what you saw and how you saw things from a management perspective or a ideology perspective.
Yeah.
What was your interpretation just of the whole trip?
From the management side, I don't know about the other provinces in Canada, but the Northwest Territories is extremely, I would say, well regulated as far as, the amount of tags that they give out, and, the numbers of sheep that I saw, the numbers of caribou that I saw. They're still working on getting grizzly bears, back as a huntable species. That's been their major issue up in the Northwest Territories. But everything that I saw, I feel like they've done a really good job up there as far as, making sure that there's, healthy populations. So, they're dealing with a lot of the same stuff that we are. And Clay Lancaster will kind of go through it, just with the antis and what their end game is and what they're trying to do to stop them. There's not that many outfitters up in the Northwest Territories, and they're lucky to be one of the few. But, they obviously want it all shut down up there, to where there's no hunting at all. So they're dealing with a lot of the same stuff that we are. Canada obviously has a lot of gun, gun issues and people trying to continually take firearms away from Canadians. So they're dealing with that as well.
When I was in the Yukon territories in February, similar scenario. I mean, coming from the federal government side in Canada, and looking at the management and look at the strategy and look at the animal rights extremism. I don't think from province to province, it's a hell of a lot different than state to state down here.
Yeah.
Even though they have a kind of a different set of dynamics. What I recall is the guys that I was with Grizzly Creek Lodge, they said in the Yukon territories, there was like 30 registered outfitters in the entire province. Trying to understand how that equates to what like Colorado is. It's like 3 times the size of Colorado, and there's 1,100 outfitters in the state of Colorado. I think the Northwest Territories is similar.
Less. There's even less outfitters. I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it's single digits, up in the Northwest Territories. I mean, it's very small as far as the number of outfitters that are up there that are hunting sheep and moose and caribou. So
just briefly, tell us a little bit about your trip on the way there and how that played out. And then like how many hunters you saw, or what sort of atmosphere that there was in the interactions to get where you're at, because you were kind of in BFE when you got there. But tell us a little bit about your experience, and then we'll let you get into the interview with your outfitter. But
cool.
But how and when and where did you go from there?
Yeah, it was a 2-week trip total. A couple days of travel on the front and back end. Unfortunately, getting up there, Denver to Edmonton, when we left Edmonton, sad deal. Unfortunately, there was a woman on the plane that passed away. And so we had to turn back around, go back into Edmonton. And, during that time, Air Canada was still on strike. And so the smaller airline that we were taking to get up to Norman Wells for the float plane to pick us up, they didn't have another plane going out until Thursday. This was on a Saturday. And so it was kind of a mad scramble to figure out how we were going to get up there. And Jim with Lancaster was great. He was like, hey, let's just get you to Whitehorse and we'll have a float plane come pick you up. So we only lost a day of hunting getting up there, which was nice. Like I said, once I was up there, our guide, his name's Kelly. He won actually Guide of the Year with Wild Sheep Foundation. I don't remember what year, but he's been doing it a long time and just an incredible guy. So I was happy to hunt with him on both my sheep and my caribou. But their camp up there, very remote. I mean, float plane in, no roads in and out of there. I mean, it's as remote as you can get. But the accommodations were great while you're in camp. I mean, it was way nicer than what I was expecting. I was expecting to have to rough it a whole lot more. So Taylor went with me, which was great. And so, they had a little library in there when we were hunting. She got to read books and hang out. And it was just a great time to be up there, even just outside of the hunting. So
how many sheep did you see?
On my hunt, we saw 3 total, 3 rams total. But we got we got it done within the first day. So, when you fly into an area, you got to wait 12 hours before you can start hunting. So that first morning was when I got mine. So yeah, only saw 3. But I know talking to a lot of the other guys that were hunting up there. I mean, they saw a lot bigger bands of rams, and the time that I was there, the 10 days that I was there, we did not have one hunter come back into camp that was not successful on their ram, which I think is a pretty good testament to those guys and the operation that they're running.
And you harvested a good ram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll show some pictures on here as well. And then you went and got to do another hunt, or same time. Was it exact same spot?
Nope. Completely different spot for caribou. We were still up high like we were for the sheep. That caribou get just viciously attacked by mosquitoes. And so they stay up high until it gets cool enough to where they can go down low. So we were up above tree line for that different area. But yeah, we were able to see my target bull relatively early on that first day, waited our 12 hours, and then climbed up high, was able to spot him. And as caribou do, they never stop moving. And so we kind of chase him around. We would lose him in draws. And Kelly ended up seeing him bedded behind this group of rocks. I mean, just basically a paddle and his nose sticking out. And he was able to spot him at 800 yards away. And we were able to make a play. I made the shot at 435. But again, testament to him. I would have never seen that animal, at 800 yards away. And yeah, he's an incredible guy.
And it's a credible bull that you got too.
Yeah, no, great bull. And yeah, very, very blessed to have taken.
Is that the only caribou you saw?
That was the only bull caribou that we saw.
Really?
So we saw cows and some smaller bulls, calves. That's another cool thing that Northwest Territories does. They have you fill out a survey at the end of your hunt of all the animals that you saw. So whether you were flying, you're on the ground, I mean, they want to know everything that you saw. You turn all that in, and that helps them, with their management plans. So
what day did you harvest the caribou?
It was day 4 of my hunt.
So what did you do for the rest of the time you were there?
We hung out. I helped I helped the outfitter and all the guides chop wood to get ready for their fall moose season. Yeah, I mean, we ate great. I was probably the only hunt I've ever been on to where I feel like I gained weight by the end of the trip because I had so much time in camp. But yeah, I've never been so relaxed by the end of a vacation, just getting to be there and, just do nothing for a while.
Any fishing or anything that was going on?
We didn't do any fishing. Their camp is right along a lake. I didn't get a fishing license. Fishing is, I can take it or leave it. Yeah. So, no, we did some hiking around there, and other than that, just helped out around camp and got to know people. And I guess I did do some peeling of some velvet off some of the bulls just to kind of, give me something to do, to get those bulls ready for when they transport them at the end of season. So,
see any other wildlife when you were there?
No grizzlies, no wolves, no wolverines.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the other hunters did see wolves, grizzlies, and wolverines. I didn't see any though.
And did you get a chance anywhere along the way to meet any indigenous or native individuals up there?
Not up there at the camp. In some of the stops that we had along the way, we spent a night in Norman Wells, and at the lodge we were staying at, got to meet a few indigenous people up there, and yeah, great people as well. So we were in a few of the smaller villages, but not up at camp. No.
If you had any recommendations to give to somebody in today's environment that wanted to travel to Canada, what would you give them as far as a first chance experience that you guys maybe wish you would have done, or maybe you shouldn't have done?
I mean, as far as, the hunting piece going to Canada, I think going to Northwest Territories, without having anything to compare it to, I don't have any qualms, anything bad to say about it. I mean, I was worried about checking in my rifle in Edmonton and kind of what that potential issue could have been. And it was, I mean, very straightforward, very easy, so I was pleasantly surprised there. Obviously we had the travel snafu, but can't help that. And that was a bad deal for that family of the woman that passed. I, if you're going to do it, I would highly recommend Lancasters. I would highly recommend the Northwest Territories. I'm pretty sure I'll never see anything like that terrain, anywhere else in the world. Yeah, I couldn't have been happier with the trip.
So that's cool that you and Taylor got to experience that together too.
Yeah, for sure.
Badass. Was she jealous that she couldn't hunt?
No, because I mean she wants a moose. I mean that's her dream target animal, and so Lancaster's does that as well. So we're talking with them about doing a moose hunt with them at some point, and I'll be the one just hanging out at camp, and she'll get to hunt. So
until she harvests something, then your ass will be pulled in.
Yeah. Then I'll have to do some work, but no, it's great to have her up there, and just going on hunts with her is a lot more fun than going without her. So,
well, we're going to get into the interview that you did with the outfitter, and let you kind of tell your story. That's a 15 or 20 minute interview that you did. But we just wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of tell the story, let people listen to a little bit of a different perspective from the outfitter themselves, and how they're dealing with the same challenges and trials and tribulations in Canada that we deal with here. The animal rights extremist movement is worldwide, and everybody sees it. Doesn't matter what state you're in, doesn't matter what species or method of take. So, appreciate your friendship. Appreciate you helping out on everything. Appreciate your license plate that you got for your showing your support for CRWM. Look forward to future endeavors that we're trying to make sure we continue to save the hunt.
Same.
So this is another edition of Through the Gates to Save the Hunt. And we're here with Adam Welborn, a great friend, great supporter, and listen to a little bit of his story because it's something that not a lot of us will get a chance to participate in. But if you get the chance, make sure that you try to get a piece of CRWM memorabilia or swag to wear in your pictures to show the support around the world. So once again, thanks a bunch, Adam.
Yep. Thanks, Dan.
If you want to support a company that supported the efforts to defeat Proposition 127, then you need to support Davis Tent. Davis Tent has provided quality canvas goods for outdoorsmen for the last 50 plus years. For more information, go to davistent.com. If you want to support another business that was instrumental in helping us defeat Proposition 127, check out Salida Gun Shop. Salida Gun Shop in Salida, Colorado provides quality products, expertise, and knowledge from individuals that actually do what they sell. Go to salidagunshop.com. Listen to the advice of Cameron Haynes and support companies that are supporting your cause and your efforts. Minturn Anglers is one of those companies. Minturn Anglers provides product and fishing excursions in Colorado and are second to none. For more information, go to minturnanglers.com.
I'm sitting here with Clay Lancaster with NWT Outfitters, and we've been talking a lot about anti-hunters and wildlife management and how things have kind of changed here in the recent years. And Clay, I guess the biggest thing that we've all been wanting to know is how wildlife management has changed in Canada.
I think the biggest changes that have occurred is with a lot of our education. It just seems like we have schools now that are all taken from a liberal point of view. All our biologists and everybody are educated from a liberal point of view. And it's really rare to find biologists anymore that actually, believe in hunting. Wildlife management has been a great tool for years and years and years, and you're starting to see that change. Not so much in the Northwest Territories, but in other parts of Canada, you're really seeing it change.
Yeah.
So,
do you feel like that's just pressure from anti-hunters, within the school system, within your divisional?
I mean, let's say this: the Liberals are definitely better prepared for this than we are. I mean, we tend to, just want to live and let live, but you just see this big change right now that's pushing and pushing and pushing. And everything they see, every change I see is not directed to, helping the wildlife. You just see this massive movement that wants to control how much people are hunting. But I see some of our population numbers going down through mismanagement. And I just don't see anything from that point of view to increase the populations. So a lot of hunters that you see out there are the ones that are making the changes. They're the ones that are putting their money up, the real money, not just hey, I'll give you this and hopefully everything's going to be great just to stop hunting. Well, stopping hunting doesn't help your populations out. You gotta hunt. You have to manage wildlife. We're into it now. If this was 250 years ago, you're going to see these animals creep up and cycle, creep up and cycle, and everybody sits there and would have been fine with it. But when you're going to have a population that's going to come in and we're going to be hunting these animals, then you're in a situation where you need to control that number. Stop the big spikes. You have an area with a bunch of wolves move in, they'll get rid of all your caribou and your moose. And, it's 25, 30 years before you see these populations come back again. So if we're going to be hunting and harvesting on some of them, we got to be harvesting on the predators too. This shutting down grizzly bear hunting, it makes no sense, like none whatsoever. And it gets irritating when you realize that, our wildlife management is on politics, not on actual wildlife management. And until we're smart enough to change that and go back to managing wildlife to manage wildlife, I don't see any changes happening. And they think they're doing a better job by just shutting down seasons and shutting down hunts. But all they're doing really is frustrating the hunters, and they're not helping the wildlife at all. Like, not even a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've noticed, just hunting dall sheep and mountain caribou with you guys, the time and effort that you guys put into, not only tracking all the animals that you're seeing, but the animals coming in, making sure you're, getting a proper age on them, and everything is so well documented that you guys are putting your best foot forward to make sure that this way of life and hunting lasts for future generations. And I'm sure it's frustrating to see other people take all the work that you guys put into it, and try and completely take it away from you.
See, and like I said, the best part is the Northwest Territories. They're really good here about letting us do our thing. And, every outfit, there's only 8 zones in the entire Mackenzie Mountains. Everybody up here is striving to kill the oldest animals they can. I mean, the great thing about sheep is you can look at them and age them. But caribou are the same way. I mean, we're striving to kill big, older, mature bulls, ones that aren't going to be rutting as much, and the ones that you want to take out of your herds, they've already done a lot of rutting over their lifetime. When you see those kind of things happening and then you see the benefits of it, your populations are increasing, things look a lot better. And then you get other zones where, there's a lot more, they call it management, that comes in, and it just seems like that management makes it worse and worse and worse. And then when you try to sit down and have a conversation with them, they're just not interested. They look at it, oh, I have this biology degree and you don't. Well, I went to school too, and I know what's right and what's wrong. And some of these ideas that they come up with just don't make any rational sense anymore. But the territories is phenomenal because they don't try to step in. They don't try to tell us what to do here. And yet you look at those hunter surveys and stuff that you guys do. When you look at the amount of animals that a person is seeing on a constant basis, on a daily basis, it really hasn't changed in over 35 years since we've kept track of it. And you just see this little movement like that. Well, there's no big spikes or anything like that. So guys are consistently seeing the same amount of caribou, the same amount of sheep, and the quality's still there. Like, we're harvesting old, mature rams, old, mature caribou. So the Northwest Territories is the one place out there that I think is doing a really good job. And we have really good wildlife people in this our territory up here. Other parts of Canada, they're falling behind. They really are. I mean, I've hunted, the lower 48, and I've hunted Alaska, and you see a lot of these things, and it seems like it's over management, for lack of a better term. But that definitely has the ability to control things better than we do. We just don't seem to want to do it anymore. So I'm kind of baffled by it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, in the States, I feel like what we're seeing is, we're starting to see the end game playing out of, the anti-hunter's goal is to eliminate all hunting, and they're starting with certain species and they're going to work their way down, and once that happens, there's a lot of stuff that falls after that. Do you feel like that's the same in Canada? Oh, their ultimate goal is to completely shut hunting down.
The whole goal is, once there's enough wolves and once there's enough grizzly bears, then at that point in time, well, there's not enough for us to hunt, and then they'll be happy at that point. Once they can get us so we can't hunt anymore, then they're going to be tickled pink about it. But the problem is that the wildlife's going to suffer in the meantime. When you have apex predators and you protect them, then they just gobble up everything else that's out there, and it's out there. And